Alrighty guys, today is the 6th of July and I want to get out here and make a video with the yard before we do leave for about 3 weeks. So the next update will be in about 3 weeks, time of filming this. So we'll just see. We got the system working back here now, so it should help us. Let's start here. Look at this. It's a lot better in real life, but we've got a natural look coming in on this plant now, and it's just that large look, and I like that. That you can see there. So just an amazing plant. See, some of the growths are pretty large, some grass growing underneath it, typical stuff there. And back here you can see it's filling in close to the wall again, so it'll be needing to pruning in a couple years, but I'm gonna let it go for a couple years, especially the top. I want to let that top continue to grow on this one and get tall, so that's the goal there. But it's an amazing plant, and it's grown a lot more than the others in the other area, which we'll get to. But look at this potentilla, and I thought these were dead. Look at that. This is as of July 6th, like I said. This is what it looked like at the end of the season last year. So we were well ahead of the growing season this year. And these plants here, though, they're not done yet. They're firing up even faster. So, but I got to get to something. I did the cutback on these, and they're growing faster than they can support. So that one there is drooping like crazy. So it's kind of a gamble there, but they are very healthy, and we'll get to those. But look at this potentilla. I thought these were dead. And some of the growth they've put on is just all that's new growth. Just insane as of July. The actual bush is probably like right in that area. And so a ton of new growth. Take a look at it from the front as well. Wow. Amazing. And this is the dogwood. So if you look at that, this is the first one. It's not drooped so bad, but it's also not vigorously growing as much as it's a smaller plant. Still got some huge leaves though, as you can see, and it's putting on an amazing, perfect balanced amount of growth. And so it looks real nice coming up there by the fountain. As you can see, they were down to nothing, but they were old wooded stems. I had to cut them back. The stems had galls on them and stuff, and it wasn't producing the best growth. So I cut them back, and this is where we're at. And then this one here, look at this. It's not even actually this wide, it's just drooped. Some of the leaves this one's producing is like well above typical for this plant. And so that's why it's drooping down. It's so heavy. Whenever sprinklers or it rains, it kills this thing to the ground. So that's definitely a concern. It looks, you can see it, very healthy, but in real life you can see that it's definitely drooping. So we're gonna leave for 2 weeks. I'm not gonna even be able to look at it, and let's just hope it pulls through and doesn't become some ground grower. You know what I mean? Otherwise, that's gonna be an issue. But they are benefiting from the cutback. They are so much more healthy. Look at those plants. They are very vigorous plants, especially this one. You see all those tips reaching for the light even when they bend. So they're very amazing plants. I might just have to find a way to get that one to stay up better. That rain really set it down the other day. But they do get sun. Like I said, they get a lot of sun. So those just keep the sun coming. We're supposed to be 80, 87 in a couple days here. So yeah, it's hot this year. We're well ahead. I'm going to get to that when we get to the spireas. So, but either way, this is the structure, the best part of the yard right here is these dogwoods by that fountain. Just an amazing area. And then this potentilla, it's probably starting to get stressed on this side. Definitely does not have as much growth produced. It's like some of these areas. This is one whole growth right here. That whole stem is one growth this year. And it's already starting to flower in a couple areas. So there's that potentilla as of July 6th. And the pines are about done for the year. They're kind of still elongating the stems, but these grow differently. This one here gets longer stems, but it doesn't fully like enlarge to match the other plant. And this one does, so it gives it that uniform look, but it doesn't produce as much growth. So you can see what we're looking at on those. Out there and this here. This one's getting larger, and I'm letting these grow. I vigorously cut the yard, but I'm letting things regrow now. Basically just the conifers. So we're getting, yeah, so we'll just look at that. But you can see if we get in and look closer at this, this is the new growth for the season. So a good little portion. These are dwarfs, so they're not the huge ones, but a good nice portion of growth to make it a little larger for the season. If you go back here, you can see it's just a nice little plant behind the fountain. And so the goal is to get these to grow bigger over the next some amount of years. And then in the middle here, and then this one here, it's a really nice structure too. It's like a bonsai, but as you can see it's got that different growth pattern where it's just little small growths. It's about all it grew. And I think over here it grew a little more to try and match the plant. And it does a real good job of that. So it's looking really nice, like fluffed on the back, and It's just an amazing plant. If we look from the back of that, it's like the bonsai structure kind of there, and just an amazing one there. And it was actually dying on this end when this potentilla was as big as it was, but we got that situated, obviously. And unfortunately, guys, the potentilla, fortunately it did grow and it's producing enough to actually stay visible. The root system's still getting enough nutrients to push something up at least. And the new growths are pretty large, but they're only coming out of that area. And that explains what's starting to probably happen in this one and that one. They get so old, they rot. And, you know, when it's a big plant, that one area was only fueling a little area that I showed in that video back in probably October, maybe August. You'll see there was just a couple growths, and obviously this was all, but cutting it back still helped, and it's producing now more growth, and it still produces, so we'll leave it alone. And then over here I'm filling that fountain, so I probably but oh, it's hot, guys, I can't speak. Whew. So that's cleaning that water out in that fountain. But these, they grow really nice, and they won't have to be cut for a real long time because they are not growing very much. I mean, they're healthy, but they're not putting on as much growth as this corner one. I don't know why it does that. It's a vigorous one over there. But like this one here, look at how amazing it looks. And these here, I'm gonna shut this hose off here. So these here, yeah, they're just amazing. We got them pruned. They used to be so high or large, they were growing onto the sidewalk. And yeah, this one here is a very slow one, but they keep that green, that nice look. They get a little thicker each year. So just amazing there. And if we look at the daylilies, they are producing early. When we left last year on July 14th, we're leaving the 13th this year, and I made that video, that was much later. And now we've already got the scapes with bloom heads almost there. So I'm sure we'll see some bloom heads on these before we even leave this year. Which would be crazy because, yeah, kind of rare for us. So very early season. We got warm earlier. These fountains, like I said, they were on April 29th, May 2nd. Last year I didn't turn them on until about May 11th. So that really shows you what really went on. And this one here, you can see it's got some as well on it. And that one there. That one's got a real long scape. And these ones here don't have as much. I think they get disturbed from the dogs jumping over them. This one here does, though. You can see it's popping around, but just not as much. And this one over here has a good amount, a really good amount. It's already really firing up. So you got this big one here, and you got them all throughout the center. It's kind of hard to see on camera. Camera doesn't pick things up like real life does, but you can see all those throughout the plant sticking up. So right there, right there, right there, right there, right there, right there. So yeah, and then this little one here is also doing well. So over here we've got these sedum. These are about max height, I think now. Like I said, the growing season has been going at a faster rate. So if we look at this, we're already to the flowering phase. Something we didn't see till about August last year when we got back from our trip. And we haven't even went on our trip yet. So these are already ahead of the season. I'm sure we'll have a really crazy show this fall. This is an interesting season because, like I said, we are a bit ahead in terms of growth for the season. But you can see how large it is. It did grow larger than it did last year and the year prior. It's like each year I've been working on stuff here, it's been growing better. And I was like, wow, this plant don't do much. And since I've been actually pruning it, and taking over the yard here a little bit, it has been doing so good. This is like a feature in the yard now. Look at that. Over here, this one barely gets any sunlight. And it gets smashed, peed on by the dogs. And it's actually doing great this year. We figured out a better way to do the hose, which was its main killer. There was years there where it didn't produce anything. And they're strong, they come right back. So we got the hose out of its way this year and it's ready to go. Already producing flowers at the tips. So that's gonna be an interesting one. But a nice one. You can see it's pretty hidden in the back there, but it still makes its appearance. When this tree wasn't cut because when it was growing well, you couldn't even see the plant. It was there, but you had to walk behind it to see it because it came out like that. So now that the plant died, and I actually did the work on it to prune it up to this alive point, which I am so impressed with, by the way. Look at that plant. You can see it now. But speaking of this plant, it's just growing amazingly. The ends here are that non-stressed growth. They're just normal growth. And that's what we like to see on these. It's just that normal growth. In the back here, it's probably one of the best little areas. And I didn't notice much dieback on it. These areas I can tell might be starting to die back, but each year I just prune off the dead. This one might be getting a little more stressed. You can see they start to look more bluish than green, and that's when you can tell that something's wrong. But it could be declining, but I'm telling you, it's came back quite a ways, like significantly. So it's one of my favorite plants in the yard. So let's hope that it just keeps pulling through. And over here, the dogs are kind of running through here and smashing the back of them, but we won't even look at the back. They make me angry when they do that stuff, but it's just how they are. So the fronts here look at how much these have already grown. These did not look like this at this time last year, and they didn't look like this till like August last year. And we're not far from flowering on these ones. And when I get to the front, you might be shocked. But just look at these, pretty huge. These two are the main focus here. This one here is doing really well. It's always that vigorous, thick bush. This one here, I've made videos on what happened to it. But it is still growing. The actual plant is here, but it's growing over here because it was stomped on and dug up, and it's had a life. But at least it's got a couple limbs. You know, that's the goal. Let's take a look at the area now. All right. So the front yard area. There's no trees here anymore. These very thin, I'm going to talk quieter because the neighbor's out. These are very thin branches. And these ones are a little sturdy. But I want to pick a few that can grow, and I might even cut them in half next season to promote stronger limbs. Because these ones here, like I said, they're just falling. But at least it's green. But they don't really look very appealing. It looks like a weed. So we need to fix that big time. I'm trying to get these to grow so they're not suckering out like crazy. But we're just going to let this area go wild this year. And I'm going to come back in the spring and really work on that area. Not much to talk about there, but we can take a look at the whole area as a whole. So there's that tree. You can see it's got some new, not really yet. These are going to start producing growth in about August. I don't think the growing season was really affected for any of the conifers. More likely just the deciduous this year. But the conifers still are going to follow their schedule, I think, and produce a lot of new growth in that August while we're gone. We should see a lot more when we get back of that. And then this one here. So yeah, there's that area. And then over here, we've got this one. Very dense, thick plant. And like I said, these are well ahead. Both in the growing season and my pruning helped them quite a bit. So yeah, very thick and full. Usually not like that. And these produced all their growth. The growth is actually pretty hardened off now. So they've got that still drooped appearance, but hardened off growth. So it's really nice. You can see from the side here. Really nice. The tops have filled in completely. This one here is doing great. It's what it looks exactly like in about late July, probably August. And we're in early July, like I said. So, and the stems are already maturely hardened. So it's gonna be really cool to look at these this winter, because what's gonna happen is there's not gonna be any base in there anymore. It's gonna be like hollow. So it's gonna be really interesting to see. I hope all the leaves fall though before the first snow, or it becomes a real mess. But yeah, look at that one. And the dogs actually do not have any of these destroyed at the backs yet, which is very surprising. That one down there is at big risk, but it's just out of their running area when they're chasing the dog across that big fence. And I wanted to point out to you, we're already flowering. Wow. Look at that. That is crazy. So the growth on these is done. Done. We're at that flowering stage now. And yeah, you can see that couple little ones poking out. These are not in their peak, but even though I pruned them hard, I can still see that they're going to look nice this season for blooms. one of the better seasons. And in here, you can actually see this hose. It's getting buried again, but it's a lot less dense. I mean, all this is new growth now instead of just hardened wood and a teeny bit of growth. So these have produced so much more better. Let's take a look at the area. All right, and that's the yard. So the main thing is that it's an earlier season and everything's maturing earlier, and it possibly could end earlier. So we're gonna definitely see, we could start seeing yellowing earlier in the year compared to normal. So we're just gonna take a definite look at that and see what happens. But you can see them two dogwoods look amazing. It's just that that one, as of now, is too vigorously growing for its own weight. So we're definitely gonna see what happens with that. But yeah, we will see you guys very soon. I will make another yard update on probably August 1st or 2nd after the return.